When Yaakov has to run away, go back to the family in Chutz La'aretz. And so we still have, there's the part of the tribe in Eretz Canaan, but we're still connected to the tribe in Chutz La'aretz, to Aram. Here there's a final separation. This is the last thing we hear of this branch of the family in Aram. There's no more family in Chutz La'aretz after this point, after the point of Parashat Vayetze. Right? Nobody goes back to get married. There's no more yichus there. Finished. What's the last thing that happens? Vayashkem Lavan baboker. Right. Just for the record, when was Kriyat Yamsuf? Haboker Haya. Okay. Vayashkem Lavan baboker. Vayinashek levanav levnotav. Vayivarech etem. He blessed them. Vayelech vayashov Lavan lemekomo. That's the end of Lavan. It's the last thing. We never hear from him again. Yaakov alach l'darko. Their ways separated, never to be united again. What's the last thing that happens? Vayivarech etem. He blessed them. Why does Tarsh tell us this story? We have to understand something. You can be president of the United States, but if your mother thinks you're a failure, you'll always experience yourself as a failure, because there's a certain power that relationship has. Lavan is the maternal grandfather of the Shvatim, as there was Zayd Lavan, right? We don't talk about that, right? That's part of the thing we don't like talking about, right? That's Miklav de Avodah Zaraya Hayavotenu. That's the Matchilin Bignut. We don't like remembering that. We could have run away from the house of Lavan the way Yaakov fled the house of Lavan. But it would always be in our memory that we never confronted him. That Yaakov had a lot of stuff on his chest that he never got to unload because we never faced Lavan. But Yaakov had to close the circle. And Yaakov lets Lavan have it at the end. Right? And receives Lavan's bracha. Lavan has to let Yaakov go. It can't be that we suffered such injustice and that we should escape the house of Lavan like thieves in the night, which is what Lavan says, right? We're like thieves. Vatigno et levavi, you stole my heart, right? Like thieves. No, we're not thieves. So you need Lavan's bracha. And this is where one parsha illuminates another. Is what do we care about Mitzrayim? Mitzrayim is styrofoam. So we only need them as much as we need them. So what's the last thing that happens with Mitzrayim? We never see them again after Kriyat Yamsuf, right? Okay, but listen. Vahi bashmoret haboker, right? Vayashkef Hashem, right? Yitzef Hashem. In Lavan it says Yitzef Hashem, and then it's fine. Vayashkef Hashem el machane Mitzrayim b'amud eish va'anam, vayahom et machane Mitzrayim, vayasar et ofan markevotav, vayinahageu b'chveidut. Now listen, because this is the last thing we hear Mitzrayim say. Vayomer Mitzrayim, and Egypt said, Anusa mipnei Yisrael, ki Hashem nilcham lahem b'Mitzrayim. They said the magic words. Vayomer Hashem al Moshe, netayet yadcha layam, v'yashuvu hamayim al Mitzrayim, v'aruchbo v'al parashat. We don't need Mitzrayim anymore. We needed to bring Mitzrayim to this point where Bnei Yisrael should witness Mitzrayim saying, Hashem nilcham lahem b'Mitzrayim. Until then, we were just escaping. We needed to see the acknowledgement of Mitzrayim that it was Hashem nilcham lahem b'Mitzrayim. And that is Mitzrayim setting us free. And that's why we're not Mishua Badim L'Paro b'Mitzrayim. This Paro set us free. There's something about that relationship. And to this day, Al Pi Halacha, there's a very ambivalent relationship that we have with Mitzrayim. Lo tita'ev Mitzri ki ger hayita ba'artzo. You're not allowed to. There's a mitzvah lo ta'aseh. If an Egyptian comes to convert, an ancient Egyptian, we don't exist anymore, but if an ancient Egyptian comes to convert, brings a Sefer Yuchsin that he's descended from Nefertiti, right? If he comes to convert and you say, no, we don't like Egyptians, you're over mitzat lo ta'aseh, of lo teta'ed mitzri ki ger ha'ita ba'artzo. They took us in the time of famine. They didn't treat us so well, but b'chol zot, there's an ambivalent relationship created. And that relationship has to come full circle and we have to be able to move on from it. And we need to be released from Mitzrayim in order for that to happen. And that is analogous to Yaakov and his family needing to be released by love. Now there's another story. There's another narrative which is parallel to these two stories. Okay? Again, we have the story of Lavan, and we have the story of Mitzrayim. There's a third story in Sefer Bereshit, in Perek Mem Daled. Do you notice the parallels? It's a story, part of the story of Yosef and his brothers. And in Perek Mem Daled, Mem Daled, sorry, hold on. No, one second. Here we are. Before the brothers know that it's Yosef, right? So Yosef plants his gavia, right, in Binyamin's pack, right? And the people are leaving with basically the wealth of Mitzrayim. And then, right, and Yosef says, "Vayitzavet asher al beito," Yosef to his chief of staff, so to speak, "Leimor malet am tuchot hanashim ochel kasher yuchlun seit v'sim kesef ish b'fiam tachto." Right, so fill up their packs as much as they can handle and put the money back in the packs. Ve'ed gvi'i gvi'a kesef tasim b'fiam tachat hakaton. The 8 kesef shivro, right? So plant the gavia in the pack of the younger one. Haboker or, same time of day, always the boker, right? Haboker or, v'ha'anashim shulechu, v'hi b'shalach paro et ha'am. V'ha'anashim shulechu, heima v'chamoreihem, heim yatzu et ha'ir, lo yirchiku. V'Yosef amar la'asher al beito, kum ridof, pursue, acharei ha'anashim, v'hi sagtam, and you will apprehend them, right? V'yaseg Lavan et Yaakov, v'yaseg Paro et ha'am, right? V'amart alehem, lama shilamtem ra'ah tachat tova. What did Lavan say to Yaakov? Ata hareota. Remember? Iskalta aso. Ta iskalta aso. Right? Say to them, lama shilamtem ra'ah tachat tova. Halo zeh asher yishte adoni bo, v'hu nachesh yinachesh bo. Hariotem asher asitem, vayasigain, and he apprehended them. Vayidaber aleim et dvarim ha'eleh, vayumar elav. Now, the Achim deny it, and then they, and what do they say? Asher yimatzeh ito me'avadecha v'met, v'gam anachnu niyeh ladoni la'avadim. So what happened here? We have, in a sense, let's see what the meaning of this is. We have the children of Yaakov, after, in their perception, being subjugated by Prime Minister of Egypt, leaving with clay kesef and smalot and ochel, called to the Eretz Mitzrayim, being pursued and being apprehended, right? What story are they remembering? What do they say? Asher yimatzei yitomi avadecha b'met, v'gam anachnu niyeh adoni la'avadim. And then, vayiftechu isham tachto, they get searched. Vayichapes, bagadol hechel ubakaton kila. What story is that? Right? It's Rachel and the Trafim. Right? He starts with Oel Yaakov, then he goes to Oel Leah, right? And Rachel avoids him, right? Then he goes to Oel of the Shvachot, then he comes to Rachel. Bagadol Hechel, you start with the older one, Ubakaton Kila. Okay? You know what the Midrash says here? You should know what the Midrash says here. Is it says, the Tanchuma here, V'hein omdim umechavtim levinyamin al kteifav v'omrim lo, Ei ganav brad ganavta. You're just like your mother. Lavan found the Trafim. Lavan, your mother stole the Trafim, and you stole the Gavia. The Achim saw the connection. They witnessed it, right? They saw the connection between the story of Lavan and what was happening to them. Bagadol echel ubakaton kila. Of course, there's a major twist to the story, is that in the case of, and their reaction is also very self-confident, because it worked for Yaakov, so to speak. Right? Yaakov said, if somebody stole it, they'll die, and their reaction is the same. Whoever you find the Gavia will die. Right? So the reaction is a very self-confident reaction, but of course the outcome is different. What's the outcome? The outcome is they found the Gavia, as opposed to Rachel escaping. So what's the meaning of all this? Okay, to understand the meaning of this, we have to understand one fundamental difference. There's a lot of small little differences, but I mean a fundamental difference between this story, the story of Yosef and the Achim, on the one hand, and the two other stories, and the story of Lavan and Yaakov, and the story of Bnei Yisrael and Mitzrayim, are different fundamentally from this story of Yosef and the Achim, in one fundamental way. What is it? No, that's not so fundamental. Yeah, but you didn't have to take it. Say better. That's true. No, say better. Say better.
He was framed.
He was framed. Say it better. You say it a little better. The whole story, not even just framed, the whole story is contrived. Whereas in the story of Lavan and Yaakov, and the story of Bnei Yisrael and Mitzrayim, that's the way it happened. In a sense, you could say it was contrived, but God is the author of the book. Okay? God contrived it. But in a sense, that's how it happened. In the story of Yosef, none of this happened. It's all a sham. It's the book, right? It's the book within the book. Yosef is writing this story. He plants it. He knows it's there. He pursues. He knows exactly where to look. He sets them up. So now you have to really ask, it's hard enough to be Doresh what the Kavanot of Kadosh Baruch Hu are in the story. And maybe it's easier to try to figure out what Yosef's Kavanah is in the story. Because Yosef contrived this. So what is this about? And this can teach us a lot about Yetziat Mitzrayim. The Achim, the brothers, knew this story. This structure of subjugation, separation, pursuit, final hitmodedut, final confrontation, and perfect separation is a model that the Achim themselves were aware of.